Man, most of the shit that happened in this movie, it was no way I could have foresaw. It's just somehow it doesn't feel random still at the same time. It really speaks to like the writing of the movie, like with something so absurd could be done in a way that's like digestible or palatable. Obviously, this movie ain't gonna be for everybody, but the themes in this movie, I think anybody can relate to. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Cynicism. I'm Eric.
It's your boy Dante, man, and today we're going to be doing a review on Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Never has there been a more fitting title. It's everything it sounds like. This movie about a lot of shit. It's got a lot of themes in here, but also a lot of things going on in here.
Yeah.
Basically, this movie is about a woman named Evelyn. She and her husband are the owners of this laundromat. Things could be better business-wise for them. I guess they're getting audited because of the misfiling of taxes. During the time that they're, like, I guess, conversing with the tax auditor, she is, like, contacted by her husband, but from another universe. And he basically tells her that the multiverse is threatened because a version of their daughter, Joy, is like in the process of trying to like destroy the multiverse. She is like somehow present in every universe simultaneously.
There's a version of Evelyn that has created this technology in which you can inherit the abilities of yourself in different
from
multiverse.
Any version of yourself.
Yeah,
from
different multiverse scenarios. In that universe, the Evelyn that created this technology was trying to prim her daughter to become an elite multiverse traveler, but in the process of doing that, she broke her mind.
Basically.
And her mind is shattered now, and to the point where she exists simultaneously in all universes. And because of that, she's reached a point where she feels like nothing matters, which anybody would if you just experience life, death, all this stuff simultaneously all at once. She's almost kind of seen too much.
That's all about Evelyn.
Okay.
About Michelle Yeoh. She's a mother and wife who, she basically thinks her husband is an idiot. Like, she doesn't really trust him to do anything. She doesn't appear to be happy in her marriage. On top of that, she has a daughter who is a lesbian. They do not connect like on any level. She doesn't really understand her or seem to get her personality or her in general. They just don't have a close relationship. She's just unhappy for multiple reasons.
This movie tackles a lot of multiverse stuff with regards to her personality and different skill set. This Evelyn and the one that we get is kind of known to have tried a lot of stuff, but is not good at a lot of things. And that's really where the auditing and the debt come into place. She's been writing off a lot of quote unquote business expenses, but it's more so just hobbies that she's done took on, but has not really seen them through. I thought it was interesting that she kind of was on top of her daughter about maybe her not finding herself. And they probably had a lot more in common than she realized, which as the movie progressed, we got to see and she got to realize herself. But she's lost too. You know, she don't really know who she is or what she's doing, or like you said, she's very unhappy in where she's at, but I think a big part of that is because she's so lost.
You want to talk about Joy?
Yeah.
Jobu Tupaki?
Yeah.
Joy is the daughter of Waymond and Evelyn.
Joy plays two characters in this movie that are different too, because the one that she has right now, she's pretty much like a young adult figuring herself out. She's really disappointed in her relationship with her mom. That's a big part of where a lot of her insecurities kind of come from, and I think because of that, she's insecure in herself, she's insecure in her relationship. She doesn't feel accepted or like she's gotten her mom's approval, and it's very damaging. Seems like at one point they all had a much better relationship. It's easier sometimes when kids are younger to form those relationships, but I think as she's gotten older and come more into her identity as an adult, that's when her and her mom have been kind of clashing. It was interesting to see this version of her that was villainized because her mom had kind of pushed her too far. You know, it was almost like she was on the path to become, even this version of Joy was on the path to maybe become like that young lady that we saw that she was. And she was completely broken, man. Of course, when the movie first started, they introduced her as a villain, but you learn very quickly that she just kind of like a very damaged villain. She's just really lonely and really feels isolated, and that isolation has led to a lot of insanity and things like that. She's created this, it's like a donut black hole that everything bagel or some shit.
Yeah, right. I think that's really what it's called.
Right. It's like an abyss that you don't know where it leads to, but it obviously don't look like it leads nowhere positive. But
yeah, I'm not going to no bagel.
Yeah, no, fuck no. Like, she has like a following, and these people have these circles on their heads, and she's recruited to believe in what she believes in, which I guess in that we all need to end it in this donut or something. It's very cult-esque. It was more to the story than what we initially realized, but yeah, it was a lot of pain and hurt even with her. That was the commonality between both versions of Joy, is that there was a lot of hurt caused by her mom that had pretty much created her to be a certain way.
The dad is like pretty cool with like whatever. He don't really let nothing like rattle him. Like he just kind of just going with the flow, man. And he seems a lot happier because of it.
Yeah.
Most times he just seems kind of oblivious to what's going on too. I can understand Evelyn's frustration. What is their relationship like, the daughter and the dad?
That's a great
really
question.
Interact that much?
I think from what we've seen, he's probably more of like the mediator between his daughter and his wife. That seemed to be the role he plays. He's the peacemaker because they have the strongest personalities. Evelyn and Joy are very similar. And because of that, they butt heads. They both very like opinionated.
He serves as the de-escalator, at least the initial version of him we're introduced to. Also, you can tell he's a fun-loving and still a loving father and husband. Then we're introduced to an alternate version of him who is literally the polar opposite of Evelyn's husband. He is confident, he's a hell of a fighter, and he is all about trying to save the world. You know who this dude is? Actor did a phenomenal job playing both. His two versions of his character, I think, were the most completely different. He played in Indiana Jones movie.
The kid?
Yeah.
He was the kid?
That's what
Oh, wow. I saw his face and I was like, man, he looked kind of familiar.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I put my finger on that.
Same.
That's crazy. Fight choreography in here was pretty fucking amazing. I mean, it just looked really good. Very tight, very clean. Some pretty creative fight sequences in here too, where like certain, items were used as weapons. They had to use like certain items. Somehow they had to use to jump between universes. I thought that was a very cool feature that was included.
They have this earpiece thing that you have to hit, but it has to be green in order for you to actually access your multiverse self. So in order for that to happen, they find a version of you, and then it's like a sequence of things that you might have to do in order to access that. And they get increasingly more crazy in order to do it. It's like the more you do it, the more insane thing you have to do in order to access it, which I thought was a very interesting plot point, very creatively allowed for a lot of insane shit to happen.
It just made for some very unique comedic scenes. The goddamn butt plugs. Because I feel like we'd be remiss if we don't touch on that.
Yes.
The most ridiculous scene. That might be one of the most ridiculous, if not the most ridiculous fight scene I ever seen. I did not see it coming. Not in that way. We saw the little awards or whatever that they had, and it was like, that looked like a butt.
Yeah, right.
And I knew that was intentional.
Yeah, right.
But I did not expect them to take it that far.
You didn't think that element was going to come back into the movie at all.
Man, boy, did it come back with a bang.
He jumped in. I was my God. I could not stop laughing, and in the midst
I could not believe that. And them bitches were just hanging out.
That's the part.
Whole fight scene.
Bro, that's the part. When they were fighting, they were actually like dangling.
I can't believe. Can you imagine somebody writing that scene out and then passing the script to somebody?
That's what I'm about to say. And then reading it. And you looking at them like,
hold up. Butt plugs.
Think you made a typo here, man.
They was big butt plugs.
Yeah, bro.
I could not believe it. I was in tears watching that shit.
Right.
Like, whole theater was just dying. Like,
Michelle Yeoh, who is a phenomenal actress, of course, I'm probably most familiar with her from Crouching Tiger, but I was really more impressed with her acting ability in this. I haven't seen too many movies where she gets to display this level of acting and range. It was pretty impressive to see, because of course all of them have to be different versions of themselves. She was the most versions of herself in this movie, and the way that she incorporated them skills and things like that, and the uncertainty of it all. Like, she's, what I've seen in a lot of these, especially when you were like a kung fu star, they're very confident people, you know what I'm saying? And very confident in their skill set. I never really seen her play a character that was this unsure of herself, this out of her element. Overall, the acting in this movie is just so well done. Everybody kind of giving it their A game. The husband too, man, he was
great.
He could have easily been the best actor in this movie just because of what he had to do. The three of them carried this movie. Even through all of the crazy shit that that was going on, just believe in this family dynamic, this broken family.
They felt very much like an actual family.
Yes. I thought another thing this movie did really good is just the comedy. This is a very funny movie and it's very creatively funny. It's like things you never would have saw coming. This movie will hit a switch with something that'll be really funny, and then it'll be really crazy, and then it'll be really serious and very emotional. The scene in particular I was thinking of was that scene where they were rocks. And I'm sitting there and they just rocks on a cliff, and there's like text coming up, and it's literally it's not even no music. It's like all you hear is nature. I thought to myself, like, wow, they really got you engaged in a scene where it's not much going on. It's literally text on the screen. The text was funny. People in the theater were laughing. Then it was text that you would read where it was like, damn, that kind of hit me here. You know what I'm saying? And I was really impressed. If there was a moment that kind of encompasses how this movie is utilizing all those tools effectively, I thought that was a great scene to point out because there's minimal, but at the same time, they accomplish so much. You wouldn't think that something like that would even be entertaining, let alone funny.
Right.
But it was. And that's the thing about this movie that's so great. It's a simple story hidden in a very complex series of events that are going on, but the story is literally just about this family and how they need to repair their broken relationship. That's the heart of this movie. But in the midst of that, it's a lot of other stuff going on, but it never shies away from that being the theme. It's like through everything that happens, even with the main villain plot, that's based off of a family dynamic gone awry. You know what I'm saying? And something that needs to be fixed there.
Yeah, I also like seeing the universe that Evelyn was in, where she got to see a version of her husband that became more successful, because they ended up not getting together. He moved on. It seemed like it was still a very lonely life for both of them. It's good to see that contrast. A lot of people often think, if I had this or didn't do this and this would have turned out this way. But at the end of the day, it goes to show you can't always have it all. Had you not had this life and went on to become more successful in another life, then you might not have had certain elements that could have benefited you too.
That's a very hidden element in this movie too, where it kind of talks about, the concept of the grass is greener, because that's kind of where Evelyn is at. She feels like, she almost felt like her husband is holding her back for sure. And it's like her family is a hindrance to her. That scenario where she was rich and famous, she had that, but she didn't really have much else. It just kind of begs the question what having it all even really means. You know what I'm saying? It's really about appreciating what you have, because truthfully, if you have a great family and you appreciate them, that could be all you ever really would need. Honestly, you can't connect with money and things and property. It's people that we connect with. So taking that for granted in any scenario could lead to an unhappy or unfulfilling life. And I think that's kind of what we saw in different versions. That scene where her husband at the end, man, when he was kind of explaining to her, because he was very misunderstood in this movie, and she didn't think that he was a fighter and a leader. And he was like, nah, I'm a fighter, but I fight in a different way. Like, I choose to fight with love and compassion. And that scene where she wilded out in the laundromat and they were going to take the laundromat, and then Jamie Lee Curtis just was like, nah, after having a convo with her husband, she was just like, well, what did you say to her? And he was like, I just talked to her, honestly, and they explained our situation, connected with her, and basically pleaded with her that we going through a tough time, and if she could find some empathy, then we'd be okay. And I thought that was a great message. He was like, yeah, every fight don't need to be fought with fists. Like, we can actually talk to one another, and that's what we need to be doing.
Man, this movie was crazy. The trailer just doesn't even really prepare you for anything that you're gonna witness in this film, man. I thought it was well acted, well choreographed. What I appreciated the most about the movie, though, was probably just the themes and the overall family dynamic and the different relationships between the family members. I thought it was handled pretty well. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm gonna give it I think it's an 8.5 for me.
I've seen a lot of movies in my lifetime, and I don't say this very often because I've seen a lot of weird movies too. But this movie is unlike anything that I've ever seen. I can honestly say that. And they mix a lot of elements of things that you've seen before, but they do it in a way that felt very brand new and fresh. I was 100% invested in everything that happened here, and this movie is crazy. They got you emotionally invested in this family. They got you entertained in the comedic elements. The action was so fun to watch and so creative. Like, so many different action sets and pieces and different scenarios that really made it feel fresh every time that they had a fight scene. This movie is great, man. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but I say that reluctantly because I do think, as weird as this movie is, I think a lot of people could connect with this movie just because of the basic story. I'm gonna give this movie a 9. It was a great experience. If you get a chance to, I think you really enjoy it.
All right, y'all, that was our review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Hope y'all enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any suggested reviews that you'd like to see us cover here, please drop a comment below.
Absolutely. And if you guys have seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, please let us know what you thought. How'd you feel about the movie overall? I mean, that's basically all you can say. What did you think about the plot and the story? And what were some of your favorite scenes? That'd probably be a good place to start, because this movie has a lot of different elements that it tackles. But
yeah,
if you've seen it, definitely let us know what you thought. If you liked it, if you disliked it, be very interested to know.
Very much so. This movie is crazy.
Yes. We appreciate y'all, man.
Thank y'all.
Peace.